Ed O'Neill, you won't believe what happened next. A scrappy little sitcom launched in 1987. Critics rolled their eyes, and the network wasn't sure it would make it past week 2. But the audience? They ate it up. Within months, this messy, loud, gloriously unpolite family was turning chaos into comedy gold. And behind the scenes, the drama was even wilder than the punchlines. Fights, feuds, walkouts, a boycott that backfired, auditions that almost changed TV history, and a cancellation delivered to the star by a complete stranger at a bed and breakfast. Buckle up. Let's rewind. The show bowed on the 5th of April 1987 and wrapped a decade later, with 11 seasons and 259 episodes in the vault. It was the new kid on a fledgling network, a prime-time experiment designed to be the anti-perfect family show from day one. The creators, Michael G., Moye and Ron Leavitt, pitched a blunt idea. Not the glossy, wholesome ideal, do the opposite. The marching orders were simple. Be outrageous. Go where the big networks wouldn't. Viewers couldn't look away. The setting was working-class Chicago, old couches, older jokes, and a soundtrack that made the satire land with a thud and a grin. Love and Marriage, written by Sammy Cahn and Jimmy Van Heusen and sung by Frank Sinatra, floated in like a warm hug while the Bundys did everything but hug. That contrast was the gag before the first line. From the jump, critics were split. Some said the cast chemistry popped, others called it crude and heavy-handed. Fair! The comedy was brash, sexual, and blue-collar to the bone. But the audience recognized something real under the rudeness. A family that loved each other in the most backhanded, eye-rolling way imaginable. You didn't have to like them to see yourself in the mess. At the center was Ed O'Neill, Al Bundy. Once a high school legend, forever bragging about 4 touchdowns at Polk High, he's now a weary shoe salesman clinging to his beat-up 70 seconds. Dodge and his TV show Psycho Dad. Al growls, gripes, and groans, but when it counts, he'll go to war for his clan. That tension, human decency hiding under a mountain of sarcasm, made him iconic. Across the couch, Katey Sagal, Peggy Bundy. Big hair, bigger attitude, zero interest in cooking, cleaning, or clocking in. Peg lives for talk shows and shopping sprees on Al's dime, and her one-liners hit like darts. She and the neighbor across the fence form a chaos tag team that can ruin Al's day in under 30 seconds. Then there's Christina Applegate, Kelly Bundy. Stunning, distractible, and dangerously confident with the wrong guys, Kelly weaponizes charm and malapropisms like nobody else. Her brother, David Faustino, Bud Bundy, is the schemer. Books smarter than the rest, but a walking plan gone wrong. The siblings roast each other constantly and then show up when things get real. That mix of petty and loyal felt honest. The neighbors turned up the heat. Amanda Bearse, Marcy Rhodes, later Marcy Darcy, a banker and proud feminist, becomes Al's favorite sparring partner. She organizes activist groups. He fires back with his own men's club, No Ma'am, short for National Organization of Men Against Amazonian Masterhood. Sparks fly. Marcy's first husband, David Garrison, Steve Rhodes, is a buttoned-up banker who eventually ditches suburbia for the ranger life at Yosemite. Her second, Ted McGinley, Jefferson D'Arcy, is a charming grifter who somehow becomes one of Al's closest pals. That triangle, Marcy versus Al, with Jefferson playing pretty referee, fueled some of the show's sharpest episodes. Now, pull back the curtain. Early seasons taped in front of a live audience in Los Angeles, and you can feel it, those laugh bursts sharpened the timing. Sets moved, sound stages changed, and the production shifted from one company to another under a bigger studio banner. But the engine kept humming. The little troublemaker kept growing up on air. Of course, controversy came baked in. The show's raunch pushed buttons nationwide. A well-publicized boycott led by Terry Rakolta tried to shut it down after a particularly spicy episode, but all that did was hand the series free publicity. Folks who'd never watched tuned in to see what the fuss was about. Ratings didn't crumble. If anything, the noise turned into oxygen. Casting almost went very differently. There were whispers of wild alternate leads at one point. Sam Kinison's name floated for Al and Roseanne Barr for Peg. Imagine that show. But the final lineup, O'Neill, Sagal, Applegate, Faustino, clicked in a way you could feel through the screen. O'Neill reportedly fell for the script, even after being warned the network was iffy. Applegate initially found the pilot gross, then saw it play and got it instantly. The tone, the bite, the wink. Speaking of Applegate, here's a twist most fans missed. Kelly wasn't originally the neon-bright rock video vixen we remember. Early drafts leaned biker tough. Christina Applegate pitched a new look inspired by an L.A. metal scene doc. Big hair, skin-tight glam, the whole late 80 seconds vibe. Wardrobe ran with it, and suddenly Kelly Bundy was an era in high heels. It worked, but it came with pressure. Years later, Christina opened up about the scrutiny, the way the sex symbol label hit a teenager, and the private battles it sparked. It's a reminder. Behind the punchlines are people doing a hard job under hot lights. The set itself could be sharp. On a podcast, Katey Sagal joked their crew was so sarcastic, you weren't safe. Turn your back and someone's roasting you. Christina Applegate remembered hearing people talk about her a room away on the monitors. That kind of environment toughens you up or wears you down. Probably both. And then there was the legendary guest chaos. Stories from the time say Sam Kinison showed up, like a hurricane late entrances, jaw-dropping antics, even an alleged confrontation with director Jerry Cohen that turned truly ugly. Whether every detail is gospel or just backstage myth, the takeaway is the same. The show attracted big personalities, and the line between electrifying and explosive was razor thin. Not all the friction was temporary. Ed O'Neill and Amanda Bearse, Al and Marcy, had a long chill that started with a glossy magazine cover. Space was limited. Not everyone could be on it. Bearse and David Garrison asked O'Neill to push the bosses to include the whole cast. He declined, worried they'd lose the cover entirely. Years later, he admitted he wished he'd handled it more diplomatically. The bruise lingered, and it even spilled into a personal slight years after the show. TV families are still families. Love, conflict, and the occasional grudge. All right, your turn. Which moment made you a fan for life? The 4 touchdowns at Polk High? A Peg zinger that cut to the bone? A Kelly malapropism for the ages? Drop your favorite memory below and tell me who your inner Bundy really is. If you had fun strolling through TV's most dysfunctional living room, show some love, like subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next deep dive into the stories behind the shows we can't quit. See you next time.